my
There
man.
he is.
Thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing? And what do you think about that introduction?
I'm flattered. This is awesome, man. This is great. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So pumped. No, this has been good, man. And I've been talking to DOB through the past couple episodes, man, coaching him up on what my fine ear of podcasts can relay. But it's been good, man. I think you guys are on to something special, and it's cool, like hanging out with you guys on a weekend over some beers or at some games, and now just being able to do this every week and catch it on my way into work. It's been good, man. So I'm happy to be a part of the program.
Love it, my man. You are a treasure. Yeah, we are blessed and honored to have you spend some time with us. We know it's an odd start time on the evenings, but it's awesome. And as you said, like, you know, we often get to catch up on the weekends and whatnot, but being able to do it during the week is even more special. We got a whole bunch of sports talk, obviously, to get into, and we want to pick your brain about everything going on down there. Before we get into that, one thing we don't get to talk about, I don't get to talk about with you when we do get together and hang out, we're always just grabbing a brew and just relaxing. We don't get to talk work too much, but one thing is I'm always envious of guys like you, my friends who are in the sports business. And I'm always curious what that's like. So I wanted to kind of pick your brain for the listeners out there. You know, it might even be educational for somebody that's probably trying to get into the sports business, you know, and being that you're kind of a veteran now. Tell me a little bit, because it's going to be educational for me too, like how you got started in the industry, you know, where you've come up from, and you know, what you're doing now with the Panthers.
Yeah, and it's nuts when I talk to the guys on my team now. I'm referencing being in the industry a decade plus, and hear you say it, Greg. I'm like, man, that dates me, because I remember coming into the industry, and you talk to people that ran it a decade. You're like, man, like you're on the Mount Rushmore of the sports industry. And graduated college, and during that time, I got an internship with an arena football team. So that's a fun sport, man. I haven't heard you guys cover too much arena football, but those games are nuts, man.
It's a rough sport. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
What's up?
Not a fan.
You're not a fan?
Keep going. No, sir.
But arena, man, it was a different beast. But that was my internship, and it's like, man, if you can grind through an internship in arena football, like, man, I can definitely make it in the pros. So did everything with that internship. We picked up players from the airport, read them. There's like did a little bit of legal, uneducated, but just on the legal side of things. But was reading contracts. Back in the day, it was like Yellow Book's phone pages, like on partnerships. They were just calling everybody, like, hey, see if they can get a partnership or a banner on our wall around the arena, or they would try to provide the meals. They try to get 21 meals fed for the players, because they weren't paying them anything, so that they can get restaurant sponsors to do 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, like anything. So did the partnership side, and then the ticket sales side. I got in the sales room there, and it had this like lifeblood about it. I played football my whole life, so going into like a locker room playing football, like that's kind of what it felt like. And I mean, these guys are getting paid to talk sports with people. So and for arena football. So when I graduated, I knew like that's really where I wanted to dive into. And the Orange Bowl committee, I'm from South Florida, so the Orange Bowl committee in Miami, even my first job, is $9 an hour, and parents are thrilled. Like, oh, great, you got a college degree, graduated, you're coming back, living at home, making $9 an hour. I'm like, let's go. And but it was good, man. It got me to really cut my teeth on selling a game there on the ticket sales side, and selling the experience, because it was a 6-month program. 5 of the 6 months, I didn't know who the teams were going to be. So you're really selling the experience, and grinded through the first 6 months on this, really just laid my foundation, so to speak, and had an opportunity to land a full-time gig with Florida State, and went up to Tallahassee. And I would say I moved up to the South, because that was the furthest north I've ever lived, and froze because I'm a South Florida guy, and you put somebody in there and it gets in the 30s. It's a different beast. But college football is great. And I know we're going to talk about through some venues here later, but Doke Campbell Stadium, man, is an electric atmosphere on a game day. And really love like the premium sales side of things. And I felt like I could have stayed at FSU a long time. My roommate at the time, Mark Cameron, he's now the associate AD of sales and service. He's climbed the ladder over there, loving life. And my wife, she's my girlfriend at the time, lived in Tampa. So I was like, man, I got to pivot to Tampa. You know, that parlayed that opportunity to move into Tampa, and ended up working with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And once I made it in the NFL, I felt like, man, this is it. Now I made it, right? Like you get drafted. For me, I went from college to the pros. I always joke that Jameis followed me because I left Florida State the year during Jameis's run where they won the national championship. But I watched the championship game from my house in Tampa, working for a team with Josh Freeman at quarterback with the Buccaneers, and seeing my friends celebrate a national championship. But from a career standpoint, the NFL was where it was at, and I loved it. And the opportunity to sell a bad team on the field is what my career has been built on until 2020. We hit with COVID. I'll never forget. It was Friday the 13th, March 13th, 2020. We're like, man, let's go work remote for 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, like nobody knows what we're doing. Let's go work remote. So we transitioned a sales team of 30 plus. We have Jameis Winston at quarterback for the Bucs. We don't know really what our future is going to be. It's off season, Super Bowl wrapped up. I think the Super Bowl was in Miami. Chiefs had won it. Keep me honest on that one. No, yeah, they won it, right? Miami? The 49ers won it?
They played the 49ers. They beat them.
Yeah, they beat the 49ers.
No, they played the
Miami, and then whatever. So like we're on the off season.
Yes.
And we get set up that Monday after Friday the 13th, cruising, still don't know who our quarterback's going to be. And then it was St. Patrick's Day, DOB's favorite holiday. And March 17th, it was a Tuesday. And we get these notifications going out that Bucs are going to land Tom Brady. Something I'm going to write a book one day, and it was just insane. We stayed on the phones. We had calls coming in till probably like 1 a.m. We hit our annual goal for new memberships, what we wanted to sell that year. We sold more in an hour time span than our entire annual goal of season pass memberships, just with the influx. We crashed Ticketmaster. We had over 100,000 person waiting list online trying to buy tickets. And it was still full capacity because we're like, COVID's not real. It's going to go away. We'll be fine. And then that whole off season, it was like, all right, cool. You sold out a stadium. Now it's going to go down to 25%. It was just a bunch of logistics, but messed around and won a Super Bowl that year. And once in a lifetime opportunity. Dan, I don't think, Greg, you've ever been to the house in Tampa, but Dan's been there, literally walking distance to Raymond James Stadium. So we walked to the Super Bowl, won it. After party, Migos, Ludacris is there. We're literally living a dream.
Migos, nice.
Rusted fruit. They couldn't make it. They were busy. They were busy that day.
Okay.
But
that's okay. That's okay.
No, it's just. I mean, I could do a whole separate episode just on that 1 year. But reality was, I managed a sales team that was in charge of selling a 60,000+ seat arena, and there were no seats to be sold. So for me to grow my career, opportunity presented itself with the Florida Panthers, where I am now, and it's been great. I mean, I started 2 years ago. October was 2 years that I've been with the Panthers, and actually the past 2 times I've seen you in person, Greg, has been at a game. We were at a game.
I'm okay with that. You know, we should do it more, but if I see you at a game, that's fine, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's good for us.
And live hockey, man, there's nothing like it. I didn't know anything about hockey.